Good morning, everybody. My name is Karen Chung. I'm the CEO and founder of Special Learning, and we're very excited to be having a follow-up to our Ethics of Medicaid Fraud webinar that we conducted in September. And the reason for this Q&A is because there are so many questions that came out of last month's webinar, actually, and we weren't able to get to it because there was a lot of content. As you can see, there are a lot of different questions. Some are pretty complicated. Some are from an ethics perspective. Some actually require some billing expertise as well. So we have a billing expert with us today. I'm very excited for you guys to be here. You'll understand how the ethics code pertains to healthcare fraud. This is a little bit different. The application of the ethics code as it pertains to ABA provider organizations is not as clear because, as you guys probably know, the ethics code pertains to ABA practitioners, the board certified behavior analysts. So this is kind of a little bit of a departure from the way we've looked at the ethics code before, but I think it's very relevant.
I would say that's really pretty unethical practice. I think if I was an employee, I wouldn't sign on to a set of contingencies like that. And although the code is not specific to billing fraud, we do have a code item that's relevant to this, and it's 1.04B, and it says behavior analysts do not implement contingencies that would cause others to engage in fraudulent, illegal, or unethical conduct. And I would assume that means billing fraud in there, such as giving yourself credit for more hours than you actually did.
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways you can come at this, and I think best practice is to kind of create your own voluntary compliance program internally. And there's a document that I'll share with Karen with some guidelines on how to do that she can share. Because the best practice is that you're doing your own risk assessments and audits on a routine basis internally and catching these kinds of things. So in this example, Medicaid is doing, and so is TRICARE, random audits. And so of course you're doing a self-assessment at that time. Best practice would be to do that self-assessment prior and to be able to fix it. But if you catch something prior to an actual audit, you do have obligations to self-report. So you do need to make your corrections and self-report if it's a Medicaid or a TRICARE funding source. If it's a private insurance, you can just modify, correct your claims. So you can contact insurance and ask what's billed under your MPI number. You can work directly with the funding source and ask that. You can do that even in an in-network situation. But I think that the best safeguards, again, are to work with the agency if you depart, whether you're changing agencies or starting one on your own, and come up with a timeline where they'll remove you from their contracts, and then you can follow up directly with those funding sources, ACA, for example, and make sure that you've been unattached from that person's ability to bill under your MPI number. So, what are some steps to take if an employee wants to rectify fraudulent billing? Okay, so first of all, fraud is intent. So let's assume the employee is the person who did the inaccurate billing. So there's a difference between fraud and abuse. Fraud is intentional. Abuse is more, mistake. So let's read this.
The website is abaethicshotline.com. It's only a website. There's no charge for what we do. It's not a business. We don't take in any money. And I have a group of volunteers that are working with me on this. The hotline is open 24 hours a day. We respond to questions as quickly as we can. We usually, I'm going to say guarantee, it's very close to a guarantee that we'll answer the question before the close of business on Eastern time zone. And we take all kinds of questions, and we're happy to help.
And it's an amazing resource, and thank you very much for taking the steps to make this happen.